No.
Oh.
I can't get it to come up with
What are you clicking on?
trying to get the sound up a little more.
Commissioner Dennis Johnson, are you able to get on through the Zoom or through YouTube?
That's something about Dennis Johnson. I can't get the sound. Usually right over in here somewhere. Don't click on that.
I don't see Commissioner Johnson on the list.
He sent an email out a little bit ago and so he couldn't get on.
Might
He
have to turn your hearing
wasn't
aids
sure what
up.
was going on. So,
Where's the audio button?
are we ready to go now? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Well, thank you, everybody, coming to Syracuse City Planning Commission tonight. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll get started. Our
Okay.
invocation of thought will be by Commissioner Shea, and the pledge of allegiance will be led by myself. So, Commissioner Shea.
Oh, right here. Let me see. Wait a minute.
Our kind Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this evening and as a city representatives and also as concerned citizens. We ask Thee for Thy guidance now as we see to the needs of the city and to
I've been able to
be
get the
directed
sound to
in
come
what
up
will be
over
the
here.
best for our neighborhoods and families. We are grateful for our wonderful neighborhoods and the service that so many people are serving and doing here in our neighborhoods to improve our lives. And we again ask You to help guide us and direct us this evening to do so.
Sound,
In the
my
name of
goodness.
Jesus Christ, amen.
Everyone, please rise and repeat the pledge of allegiance with me.
I have to go to
one nation under God, indivisible.
just a minute, just a minute. Let's see.
Thank you. Next item is to adopt tonight's agenda. It's been posted in the courts with state law, so we can take a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight.
Move to adopt.
Motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion's adopted. Next is our adopting the minutes from our last meeting on May 7th. They were concluded in our packet. Anybody has any corrections or updates? Otherwise, we can take a motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved.
A motion with a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission on items that are not on tonight's agenda for scheduled for public hearing. We have several public hearings tonight. So if you're here for one of those public hearings, please hold your comment for that public hearing time. Otherwise, this is an opportunity for you to address the Planning Commission. Please state your name and address and hold your comment to about 3 minutes. Go ahead and open public comment. Okay, go ahead and close public comment. Next item is for the preliminary plat approval for Agate Estates. This is scheduled for a public hearing tonight. So I don't know if Noah or Royce, who's got this one?
I will present on this one.
Okay.
All right, so this is a preliminary plat. We saw this rezone a little while ago. It's just south of Fremont Estates here. So this is let's see, Syracuse Arts Academy, 3000 West, 2700 here. So the property was approved with the development agreement. So there are a couple of sort of exceptional elements of this subdivision that you wouldn't normally see in a standard R2 zone. But again, development agreements, as for those of you that recall, a development agreement allows the city council to make specific allowances and agreements that may fall outside of the zoning requirements. But as the land use authority for rezones, the city council has the legal ability to do that. So the development agreement in this case was mostly about just reducing some lot widths and lot sizes in a couple of the lots. The majority of these are compliant with your standard lot sizes, but a lot of the lot widths are narrower than what would be required. This 80-foot is more of a R3 size, but whereas R2 requires an 85-foot. But again, everything here is compliant with the zoning and also, where it isn't compliant with zoning, it is compliant with the development agreement. So let me zoom out of here.
Okay, thank you.
Just really quickly, just so the commission is aware. So a fire turnaround was required because of the length of this road here. So they have included a parcel here for the fire turnaround on this side, and then this one is going to be an easement. This lot per our code, if there's an easement for a turnaround for emergency vehicles, it cannot be built on until that easement is removed. So this lot will be undevelopable or unbuildable until the road continues and this easement on this side is removed.
Okay, thank you. This is scheduled for public hearing tonight, so we'll go ahead and open public hearing. This is for a public hearing for Agate Estates. Same rules apply as I just stated. So if anyone wants to make a comment on this one, please come to the podium and make your comment. Okay, go ahead and close public hearing. Back to the commission. Discussion and motion.
As a clarification, this is the development agreement is just part of this. There isn't an existing development agreement. This is
The development agreement was created at the rezone. So the development agreement essentially acts as an extension of the zoning for this particular property.
and remind me, the development agreement, didn't that
Yeah.
say it need to be 80 feet as can you review those that are items that would be against that are now?
Yeah, let me go over that there in the staff report here. So they are allowed up to 32 lots. They meet that. They can go slightly over the maximum of 3 units per acre. So they can go up to 3.015, which again, they meet that as well. The development agreement was based on this concept plan, which the current plat is the same. So yeah, they're permitted between 8,000 and 9,099 square feet for up to 19 or 6 lots, and then 19 lots between 10,000 and about 12. And then they can do 7 lots between 12,000 and 16,000. So that also matches. And then all the lots must have a minimum frontage of 80 feet. The only difference here being our code, when it measures lot width, it measures at 25 feet back as opposed to just the front property line. But again, that 80-foot standard is met by all of those. So the departures then are going to be the lots that are allowed to be under 10,000 square feet, exceeding that maximum density of 3 units per acre, and then also reducing the lot width.
Can we provide clarification on the 80 feet as far as lots 16, 17, 18, and 19? I see curve C12, 13, 14, and 15 would be the frontage.
Right. So what they've done is you can see that there's these strange kind of adjustment lines here. So or the way that the code's going to measure that frontage there is in what is the term they use, in tangent with the front curve. So basically you're going to measure across from this front line setback, and that setback there for each of these is 80 feet. So I don't have like a curve measurement here specifically for these ones, but measuring it on the software.
There is a table for C12, 13, 14, 15. It's down to the left.
Right. Yeah, I guess
But
what we're concerned about would essentially be from here following this front
I
line.
know, I'm just C13 is only 70 feet. And so I just don't see another 10 feet in
Right.
that offset.
Yeah, so from this point here, if I follow the line of the front yard setback to here, then that's 80 feet there.
Do we have
why
that
this-
measurement? Because I don't see that.
I don't have it on the plat. I did, as I was doing the review, I measured that and verified that it met the requirements. So that's why, I mean, otherwise these would just be straight lines because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have that kind of strange jog. But the jog is there to make sure that it meets the code.
So where is the lot line then? Because that's 100 feet of frontage. I'm understanding is 100 feet of curb, or 80 feet of curb, and that's that is the buildable area.
Right. So the way the lot width is measured in our code, I think it's just the word that happened to be used in the development agreement was frontage. We're talking about the lot width in this case. So let me pull up the code and I'll give you the example of what I'm talking about. So in our definitions section, if I go to the lot width, there we go. So it's this portion here. So the lot width means the width of a lot line along a line parallel to the frontage thereof and measured at the minimum front setback line. So in this case, we're looking at, where to go? There we go. So that front setback line is 25 feet here. So that would be where it would be measured as opposed to the C12, for example. So what I did is it with the software went in and measured along this curve. And again, these are adjusted so that they get to that 80-foot width.
So that front setback line's 25 feet here. So
And so then the like lot 13, the ones that are on the corner, then are we forcing those to be facing the side street?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there isn't really a determination
Parents.
necessarily if they can make a house fit facing west. I suppose that's up to them. It's kind of a similar situation to down here. You're kind of limited to a specific footprint, but yeah, I mean, again, measuring across there, they do get that 80 feet, even though the corner's cut out.
Any other comments from the commission?
I have one more question.
Go ahead, please.
Why is lot 20 buildable with the fire turnaround, but not 19?
That is a good question. So we went back and forth with the applicant a lot on this. So it's because this is a separate parcel. So this is going to be parcel A to be owned and maintained by this parcel owner. And really it's just a giant pad of concrete. Just has to be designed to support a fire apparatus. But because it's not technically part of the lot, we did a similar thing in the Harvard subdivision. This would have been last year, for those of you who were on the commission at the time. So a similar situation, they had a dead end street and didn't have permission from the property owner next door to push those turnarounds onto the neighboring property. And so because of that, it was either encumber those two lots or actually remove that from the lot. They didn't do that here, in part because lot 19 would be chopped down to below a buildable lot, and it would have required a subdivision amendment. But if and when they decide to abandon this, they will have to do a subdivision amendment if they want to add this parcel A to lot 20, because they have to actually change a physical lot line as opposed to just removing an easement.
And if you go to PDF 23, it actually shows the turnaround. You're on 11 now.
Oh, sorry. I'm not, I only included the two sheets here. So we're talking about the example
Yeah,
from
right there.
fire.
Oh, we just passed it right there.
There we go. Yeah, so this was their concept plan that was approved. So this has been updated. So the fire turnaround, as opposed to just being solely on that parcel, has been moved so that it's essentially rotated, and both of the little edges of the hammerhead are included on these two lots.
Mhm.
Yeah, this was included as an exhibit as part of the development agreement.
Of all the staff comments, including like fire and engineer comments been addressed?
Yes.
So, because the one engineering comment, we don't have it's not showing, or these are lot lines, but with the final subdivision, they'll need to put in the curb bulb outs that are now part of our standards.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got construction drawings from them, and they're going to be including those as part of the as-built. So I don't have the construction drawings in
Be where
here.
it would be
but I can
measured as
pull 'em
opposed
up.
to the C12, for example.
Let's see.
So what I did is get with the software, and measured along the adjusted so that they
That's right.
80 foot.
So this is, yeah, no,
So
no, good
front
point. This is a
setback
preliminary plat. So I have it set up as a final plat here just because they can do this in,
So then the like
Well,
lot
not quite.
13, the ones that are on
We
the
can do it in
corner,
one
then
phase.
they,
So
are we
because we have it set up as final.
forcing those
I
to be
suppose at a final plat
facing
stage, when we get to that point, we're gonna have to deal with that.
side
But
street?
Yeah,
they will be including those construction drawings as part of that final plat application, and we'll be reviewing that at a future meeting.
I have no further comments.
Any other comments? We can take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, please.
Mr. Chair, I move the planning commission approve the request of Leisure Villas for a preliminary plat called Agate Estates on property located at 2775 South, 2300 West in the R2 zone.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next, I was a public hearing for a rezone of 23.41 acres for Sadie's Glen. Noah or Royce, who's got this one? This is a public hearing also, or will be a public hearing.
Okay, 2425 West, 2700 South. We're looking at a rezone to PRD. PRD zone is the zone most commonly used for townhomes, or it provides a density between 6, 9, and 12. It also requires that the preliminary plat be evaluated at the same time, so we kind of know, everybody knows what we're getting into, and it also requires a development agreement. We've seen this before. If you remember, there was a general plan amendment. There was a mixed recommendation. It wasn't unanimous from the planning commission. So I remember planning commission recommended approval for the general plan, and then city council did approve the general plan amendment as well. And so the concept and general plan were put into place. You can see it here. This orange color is medium density residential, which kind of matches what the city's planning closer to the interchange. So being next, right adjacent to the freeway, you can see kind of you're seeing a little bit more medium density. So we have a concept plan that had been included, and now we're moving into more detail. The new plan is included. We evaluated the new plan for compliance with the ordinance. As far as planning comments go, we've revised, or we don't have any, big outstanding comments. There are a few that has been requested for the development agreement. There's an architectural variation required on the top roof line. I'll bring it up. And it's required every 30 feet, but their unit breaks are every 40 feet. And so if you look at their elevations, they actually do provide good roof line variation. It's just here. Let's see. Sorry, I'm gonna have to scroll through some of these pages. Bear with me. I'll show you. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at this packet already. And so the roof line actually breaks on the unit break, because that's about 40 feet. So here you go. So you can see this top roof line does have variation, but the ordinance would require it to break at the 30 feet. And so they're requesting through the development agreement that be allowed the way it is. The other thing that we're still working through is the fencing as shown on the plan for buffering next to agriculture. They need to make some amendments there so that but as far as the number of units, the road layout, all of that is really what we're evaluating here, and whether or not the zoning would be appropriate and whether or not the preliminary plat is meeting of our ordinances. The applicant is in the audience. If you have any questions, I mean, there's a lot of detail here, so I'm here. We can talk about it, and hopefully we can answer any questions we have.
Okay. I do have a general question. This is maybe someone, hopefully someone staff, might be our attorney can answer this for me. Considered meeting their goals that they've tried to pass down to the rest of the state. So.
I haven't read a specific definition of any of their, I don't know if I can answer that question affirmatively because I haven't read the definition that they've included.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if they had passed down an official definition of how they defined that. Okay, this is scheduled for public hearing tonight. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. Again, this is public hearing for the Sadie's Glen PRD we've just been introduced. If you have any comments, come to the podium, state your name, address, and make your comment. Please try and hold it to 3 minutes or less.
Hello, my name is Shane Croton, address 2353 South, 3585 West. My comments, in looking through these plans, this is information for the developer as well as myself, but I know with the recent update the city council made in regards to street trees and how they're supposed to be pruned. I just wasn't quite sure how wide this park strip is for this development. Because I know the trees they're showing in their plan are considered a small tree on our list, but they get 30 feet high or up to 30 feet high by 30 feet wide. So unless they're wanting to cut half their tree off at the curb, that might be something they'd want to know about so they could put a proper tree in the park strip if they plan to do that. I don't know if it's part of the development agreement or not, but just wanted to make sure they were aware of that, as well as one of the plans I saw, it looked like they were putting grass in the park strip, which that's another update the city made where they wouldn't allow grass. So just a few comments to think about. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Shane. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Laurie Myers. Address is 1409 South 4000 West in Syracuse. I just wanted to state, as far as this project goes, it is for active adult people, so 55 plus, which we don't have much of in Syracuse. So I would personally like to see this. We need something like this for our elderly people to go. A lot of single women who've lost their husbands for one reason or another would be a great fit for this, and it would fall within that affordable housing unit. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, this is Melody Aspietis Jensen off 2495 South. Am I free to ask a question?
Melissa Casey, 1191 South, 1925 West in Syracuse. Just wanted to also express my support for this project and that type of housing. Smaller, more affordable. I think it's it would be a good addition to our city.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Melody Aspietis Jensen off of 2495 South. Am I free to make a comment or question?
Okay, we will close public hearing. Back to the commission for discussion and a motion.
I do have a quick question. And for Noah and Rice, I know that the 55 and older community is definitely for that front strip that leads off at 2,700. Those other townhomes, though, that's not 55 and older. That's correct, right?
We can ask that.
Do we, if the applicant's here, if you want to come up and answer the question for us?
Because I think that if I recall right, that's how it was.
Yes, whoa, that is loud right there. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Brad Frost, owner of Ovation Homes, and happy to be here. The whole thing is active adult. We've done,
Okay.
since we were here in November, we've done extensive work and worked with city council and the mayor and on some and staff and really come up with a really unique design and connective community. And I don't know if Noah had a chance, but we actually made a video too. It's 35 minutes long, but I'm just kidding. It's but we made a video that you can, I think it's in your packet, you can scan and look at and get an idea what it will look like. But yeah, we're just really excited about it. I will say just one thing that'll be helpful since we met. We had 20% open space. We reduced that. And the reason why was because as you look at open space and common space, by the time we added those together, it was almost 40% of landscaping for the subdivision, which is a lot. And we just worried about the sustainability of that HOA. And so as we worked on that, we lowered that. There was also the dog park. And so we've got pickleball courts. We've got a 1 mile trail with workout fitness stations. There are 12 of them, I believe, as well as barbecue pits and horseshoe pits. And it really will be one of the nicest active adults in Davis County. We're super excited about it. So that's why that change was there. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And
That answered my question, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Frost?
Well, maybe just one while he's still here and staff can help us is the park strip and trees.
yes, the trees that was Shane had asked me, and I don't think I realized what a red blooper was, so I need to look at that or whatever it was called. We need to look at that, and we'll make sure that we and work with staff and make sure we get appropriate trees that match and doesn't expand past the park strip. But the park strips are per code.
And this is preliminary plat too, so.
Yeah.
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 Can you pause on the floor plans?
I actually believe that Noah isn't on the east side. Didn't we widen that?
The sidewalk?
Uh-huh.
Yes, the east side of 2440 West is a 8-foot sidewalk instead of just the standard 5-foot.
We go to the floor plans.
Excuse me?
The floor plans.
The floor plans he wants to see.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking up the street tree thing. Sorry, let me while I'm on this page since it involves so much scrolling. An eastern redbud is on the list of approved street trees. The standard cross section for a park strip, it's 5 feet, so that'd be a 5-foot park strip, which meets our ordinance. As far as pruning them, Shane's right. You have to prune them and shape them as they grow. And that'll be a HOA maintenance item. Okay, to the floor plans. Unless you had any questions about the trees, we can move on. Thank you.
Thanks.
Which floor plan did you want to see?
I want to see the garage.
Like all of the garages?
There was just keep going. Right here.
Right there. Back up. Right there.
This one?
Yep.
Elevation or floor plan?
Just the floor plan. So the garages are 18 feet? Or are they the 20?
Yes, we checked this. And we recently amended our ordinance concerning garage protrusions. So we require each 2-car garage to have a 9 by 20 stall. This garage is 23 feet deep. This protrusion is 23 feet 10 inches, and this protrusion is 3 feet 9.5 inches. So by the hair of their chinny chin chin, they do provide two 9 by 20 stalls.
How
But
about
it is
the one,
something we did check.
how about the one next to it? The one in the middle?
One next to it is 18 foot.
Same 23.
Okay, it says 18. It does what's the width? I mean, it says 18.
The one in the middle is 18.
The one in the middle is 18. So 9 times 2 is 18.
Okay.
By the skin of the teeth.
Yeah. Any other comments from the commission on the motion?
And this is a approval of the preliminary plat, but a recommendation for.
yes.
So, okay.
Yep.
I believe they're both recommendation because the way the ordinance is written, it kind of combines it all. So city council normally wouldn't get involved on a preliminary plat, but for these ones, they do. So I think the whole thing is just a recommendation to city council.
And the city council would be establishing the
Development agreement. Yes, we have started on a draft agreement. I can tell you that it basically says, build these plans that you're showing us.
Okay. Motion or more discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Please.
Mr. Chair, I recommend. Sorry, I want to make sure we're looking at the right one here. I recommend approval and recommendation to approve to City Council for the rezone of 23.41 acres from A1 to R3 to PRD and a preliminary plat called Sadie's Glen on property located at 2425 West, 2700 South.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeney. A motion of a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Hey, Mr. Chair, sorry to hit this late. I'm trying to catch up with the little chat things that show up in Zoom.
Oh,
And it looks like there was somebody trying to participate in the meeting for public hearing on Zoom. I know we already just did the motion. I don't know if that person wants to, I can see their chat, their text. I don't know what you want to do, Mr. Chair. I certainly wouldn't want somebody to feel like they didn't have a chance to participate in the public hearing. I apologize. I didn't see this until just now. Not the best.
You can go ahead and let them make their comment. I mean, we've already voted, so I'm not sure it would change things. But if they'd like to make their comment, we can entertain the comment.
Sure. Okay. I think they can hear us. We just can't hear them for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
Well, if they want to type it out to you and then you can read it, I guess.
Okay. If you're out there and you can hear us, do that.
Who was it?
Well, it's Tansy Johnson.
And it looks like they may have just dropped off. Oh, Tansy. Sorry, no.
Is that Commissioner?
Oh, that must be Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, that's probably Dennis.
Okay, and then there was a Larkin. And maybe that person left. Darn it.
I noticed about 3 or 4 people just dropped off on that one right before then. So
Okay. I guess if we'll go on to the next item then. I am public hearing for general plan amendment for property at 27 South, 2000 West. Noah or Royce, one of you got this one?
I've got this one as well.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just scroll through all of this stuff here. Here we go. Okay, this is also public hearing, like you said. This is located nearby. And let me pull up the map here. You can see the existing general plan includes medium density residential and commercial. So the way the general plan works is it would accept multiple zone, like it's not specific to the zone. So medium density could include PRD, or I believe even any of the single family zones, they could do that. But then the commercial is limited to like a general commercial or a professional office or neighborhood services. So currently, when we put this in the master plan in 2019, I remember we weren't entirely sure which direction a store would want to face. We weren't sure exactly how many square feet would be feasible. And so we basically traced about the Smiths complex and plopped it over here. Now we have some a little bit more precision going on. We have two landowners that have applied to modify this, and they believe that 8 acres is the right acreage. Of course, the city, we want to maximize as much commercial as possible for sales tax revenue reasons. But they've so just like the last project, if you're going to go for the PRD zoning, you have to provide a concept plan up front. You don't have to provide a really high level of detail at this stage, but we want to see, the number of units and the general road layout and things like that and how things would work. And so that's what they provided in the commercial area. They provided a couple options in the brokers here, and they've done work as far as attracting what kinds of commercial they think could go here. And then of course they've provided some details as far as what could go in the medium density. And then if you look at the existing zoning, this is not what we're doing tonight, but it's helpful just to see currently it's zoned R1, and they could proceed right now with a 12,000 square foot lot, single family on the whole thing. But this is probably what it's going to look like here as far as the zoning map, PRD, and then a general commercial. The other option would have been, and I won't get into it, but it could have done just a mixed use as well and on over the whole thing. But we felt like this was, I had a few meetings with applicants before they applied, and this is kind of what they landed on for what they wanted to pursue. So you can see here the concept plan. The retail area of 8 acres is kind of what it looks like. You can see a retail store, drive-through restaurants, a gas station, a bank, another drive-through coffee shop, and some just kind of multi-tenant commercial over here without drive-through. And then as far as the townhomes, you can see up against the freeway, you have a row of townhomes. And they have a pretty large central open space. They all have driveways for parking, meeting in our ordinance. So staff has done a review. We've provided some comments. I included in the packet. At this stage of development, I wouldn't expect them to really, these are comments that if they're successful in a general plan, they could correct for a preliminary plat stage. They include things like the direction the front door faces and things like that. But largely, as far as what the PRD ordinance would allow as far as units per acre and required block size and things like that, it's largely in meeting with our ordinance. So as far as the staff reviews of just a strictly administrative look at the concept plan, it appears to be in keeping with our ordinances. Minus, like I said, a few corrections that are listed in the staff packet. So our goal here, just like the last one, this is a legislative thing. So you're making a recommendation to City Council, and we're evaluating whether or not this would be an appropriate use for the property. And but yeah, and I believe the applicants listed here are sitting in the audience. If you want to call on them, it's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Okay, thank you. This is scheduled for public hearing tonight, so go ahead and do that first. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. If someone has a comment, they want to come to the podium, make your comment for the public hearing on this particular item, and then keep your name, address, and make your comment in about 3 minutes or less, please.
Wade Hogan. I live at 2872 South, 2000 West. I'd just like to be on record saying that I think this is a bad idea. This bringing this commercial in. I realize we like the tax base, but this is the wrong place for this. We shouldn't be butting this kind of commercial and this kind of high density housing right up against horse property. And I think if we approve this, it's a big disservice to the neighborhood and to those people that are already there.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name's Joe Cheney. I'm at 1998 West, 2700 South, just literally to the northeast of this. My question about this actually pertains to the roads, which wondering if all this commercial does go in and indeed does get approved, then what kind of impact would we have to consider for those road widenings? I know that the city's growing and I'm like right on the corner and if you'll know my house, I'm new to the home, but I'm just wondering at some point, I knew my home potentially could be in jeopardy when we widen those roads, which I knew going in. But just curious if we can kind of use that as a topic for consideration when we're just so I can plan accordingly. So
Yeah,
just
we can definitely discuss it.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually didn't plan on commenting on this, but I live in just down Bluff and the Century community is right there.
We'll just
And
get your name for us too.
Oh, Marley Squires, sorry. And I think a lot of what attracts like young families such as myself into all those townhomes there and the single family homes is just that it is kind of away from the busy a little bit. Our homes are not far off of Bluff Road. I think that would add a lot of dangerous traffic. We like to let our kids play outside and kind of be a little bit free. And that's what I think what attracts a lot of families to Syracuse. But we also like that there's a Walmart and a place where all the commercial stuff is kind of central. And I think keeping it, there is still open land in that area. And I think keeping it in that part could be beneficial to families and community.
Thank you. Okay, we ahead and close public hearing. Back to the commission. And I'll go ahead and toss the roads question out. Noah, has there been discussion of what would happen with those roads? Would they be widened or would they stay the way they are?
Yeah, one of the staff comments was about the roads, and we recently updated our transportation master plan and our cross sections. And I'll just go up to here so I don't mess it up here. As far as the actual widths and stuff, 2000 West is projected to be widened to 115 feet. Currently, I think it's a 66. 2700 South is projected to be widened to 84 feet, according to our master transportation plan. So these projects are things that are on our transportation master plan, which means that all of the current growth, they all pay impact fees, transportation impact fee, and the city saves that up for some of these projects, but also any developers required to put their fair share into the impacts that they'll be bringing. Absolutely. A commercial center will produce traffic. Absolutely. Townhomes, they will produce traffic. But the city's trying to be proactive and planning ahead. That's why we have these plans and we're collecting the fees so we're prepared. And then the developer would be required to contribute their fair share as far as the road expansion. But the city does partner with the developers to get those improvements done. Most likely at the time of their construction, should they be successful moving towards the end of the finish line. But yeah, it would take road dedication, and I believe the cross section includes some trail instead of sidewalk and in the new cross section. So, it'd be a partnership type thing. But if anything's considered a type, what we call like a regional improvement, then the city would probably be participating. But if it's to capture their projects stuff, then that would be their contribution. Where that line, actually lands and who's doing what would have to be worked out later in a final plat. But
okay.
or final stages.
How many units is it? Total
It's-
units.
It's on here. Let me look it up for you.
It's in the upper corner.
I just didn't see it.
170, 172.
And how many were in the previous? Just north of that. I mean, that 55 plus.
Sadie Glen.
I want to say it was 100. Is similar. It's a little bit smaller, I think.
So you're talking 300 units within feet of each other. It's crazy to approve, or at least tell the city council that we're okay with that kind of growth. I mean, we have a hard time with the apartments on Antelope, let alone, keep this growth going. We like our community the way it is. We like it small. I mean, somewhat. It feels like hometown. It's going to grow. There's no way around that. But to have over 300 units within feet of each other, it's crazy. So,
How close is this to the interchange with West Davis?
It's right down the road.
It's right down the road.
2000 west.
That's what it's looking like. So
And I was thinking that,
but down the road is how far? I mean,
that's what I'm asking.
yeah, that's the thing.
5
It's not that close.
So from the interchange, 2,000 feet.
yeah,
We convert that to miles, about a
Less than half a mile.
5,000. Yeah.
almost a half
Half a
mile.
mile.
Less than
but
half a
still.
mile.
So yeah, you can see here's where the other project is right here. And then this is where that is. And then these other new developments where the RC Willie's
That's-
is going in. So you're starting to get a little bit of a hub of density around this interchange. You can see how many, how small those lots are because it's close to this freeway interchange. And these lots right here are smaller because they're next to the freeway.
I can see an argument for it. I can also, if I were king, I would rather see that instead of townhomes. I'd rather see it be like an R3 type residential neighborhood behind the commercial. I think the commercial is actually not a bad spot, given how close it is to the freeway there and to the Bluff Road and other major roads that we have through that area. I don't think that's necessarily a bad place for commercial, but I can see the argument to townhomes. Like I said, my preference would probably to be single family detached,
Much better.
residential.
Because of their being detached, what would be
The
the
number.
unit difference between
The numbers, you'd have fewer homes in there.
what's the difference?
I'd have to do the math. I don't know.
I mean, looking.
Our R3 is an 8,000 square foot lot, and you're looking at 4 units per acre versus
With
6
this.
units per acre. Well, actually, they're going 9 units per acre on this one.
So a reduction of about 30%.
Yeah, it would cut a ton of
Be down
units.
to
Yeah, it would be a
point.
completely different project.
I can kind of echo what Commissioner Johnson was saying about that's a lot of units. It's a lot of traffic necessarily kind of coming up 2,700. Being adjacent to the freeway, however, I don't necessarily, especially if there's an access point going out to be able to access that freeway along there in the end. I also want to echo the chair's comments about the commercial. I personally like the idea of kind of the proposed general plan with the commercial as it was. Again, my opinion, but I definitely like the idea of the commercial being on the corner there.
So here's my, sure.
Please go.
What we're talking about tonight is the general plan amendment, right? So we're trying to decide whether we're going to change the amount of commercial that's already on the general plan. That's all we're talking.
It's basically reducing the amount of commercials. All we're talking.
So we can argue all night about densities and all that, but that's really not what we're talking about.
Very good point. Thank you for the correction.
I also find it oddly accurate number of acres in the list.
Given what we just talked about, it is as a reminder. I appreciate Vice Chair Hunter on that. This is just a general plan amendment, and all we're discussing is that change in the commercial size and location a little bit. It's a little bit the different size of commercial there. So
Yeah, because of its unique nature going for the PRD, you know, we require the concept plan to be evaluated. So, I mean, Commissioner Hunter's right, and we're really trying to decide yes or no, reduce the general commercial area from 12 to 8. That's the main point, but there's also opportunity to comment on the actual concept plan at this point.
Okay, any other comments, or we can take a motion?
I would like to hear from the applicant
Okay.
about
Want
what.
to come up, please introduce your name and address.
My name is Darren Isaac. I live at 822 West, 3150 South in Syracuse. Been there 23 years, lifelong resident here with raising my kids. So
Sounds great. What was your question, Commissioner?
So is this concept, how far along are we in design for this concept plan?
So we have, this project was proposed for different items over the last 3 years, helping this family trying to bring this together. And the idea behind this was you have two different developers here that own longer, skinnier pieces of property. And when they both proposed their projects individually, it just wasn't as conducive as what we were able to create with them coming together with two different builders and developers from the community that proposed it this way. We have interest from commercial. The reason we want looking at the 12 to 8 acres is because I've been doing commercial real estate in Davis County for 25 years. And everybody we've talked to has led towards this. We had a big grocery store wanted to look at it. That didn't work. We had the density, the rooftops, the growth, as you're saying, it's coming. You know, you can only do so much because we got a lot of people I want my kids to live in Syracuse, but they can't afford a single family home in that neighborhood. It would be too much money. So this is the idea that we went to, and every one of those bigger users all felt like it should face east. Facing north just didn't make sense. The way the freeway access comes off of there and flows and that road being wider, my heart goes out to the people on the street. I get it. But they're going to be off that freeway anyway. The traffic's going to come that way anyway. I drive that way from my neighborhood 3 blocks up the other way to get on the highway to go to Salt Lake now. So all of that combined is what got us to the point we're at now, where we're down the road quite a ways to feeling like we have a good solid nucleus of quality users that have interest in it from a commercial standpoint that would support that community, along with the two developers that we have that own the land. One of the owners now with Ed Green and Eric Craythorne, and then the family that is hoping and working hard for the last 3 years to try to work with them to use the land of the Civic North in conjunction with theirs as one unit to make it a better cohesive property, and with the open space and the parks. The goal is to create a good community right there, and the density being what it is, to have the open space, to have the ability to have a good traffic flow. One of the reasons in talking to staff with the 8 acres, the way we came up with that partly too was, number one, I think there's a good use for that. We can fill those. If we go too big, you end up with vacant buildings, dirt lots sitting there forever. We could meet the code by building a dentist office or something that comes along, but it's not going to be the highest and best use. And my whole goal and what I've been taught doing this and learned over these years is to find the highest best use. And by getting the right amount of space there, we'll be able to put quality long-term tenants and or owner occupied type properties that will service the community in that smaller space. And it does square up when you look at the way the roads are and the kind of the suggestions with staff, and then working with a local engineering company that's done a lot of work for you guys as well, or for the community as well. It just flowed real well to go to that size and lined up really well with the way the street runs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And you had mentioned that there was kind of a idea of a plan to maybe do like a larger grocery store there, that it wasn't feasible.
Wasn't feasible, not a large scale. We do still have interest from some smaller stores that are local stores. And I've shared all that with staff as we've gone along. I've kept them abreast of that, and they're just waiting to see. They're waiting to see what we can do. And if we go too big, you got too big a parking lot, you got a big vacant, it's just not sustainable because the rooftops aren't quite there yet, to support that. But they know it's coming, and so there's opportunity. And the way that 8 acres is big enough, it was actually designed and laid out with that way. that if that were to come to fruition and a grocery store wanted to be there, there's enough space there for that type of a store, anywhere up to 40,000 square foot store. There's enough parking, and some of those other things would go away, obviously, but that bigger space would be able to be supported by the amount of space that's there. Any bigger, I just think that from all the feedback we've gotten from the bigger chains and everyone else is we won't fill it up. It could take years to fill it up. So, and I don't think that's what the goal would be either.
So the 8 acres could supply a potential, smaller grocery store.
Yes.
Option.
Could. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If we can get them to want to be there and the rooftops there to support it, then it actually absolutely could. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Also comment, also landowner here.
Yeah.
There's something that Eric Craythorne, 710 North, 2400 West in West Point. I hope that you guys will look at your next minutes and the hair of my chinny chin chin is in there. I'm gonna wait for that. So no, but I just want to just to kind of add on to what Darren was saying. We've been involved with the property that we own for a couple of years now, and all the different end users we've talked to, as far as commercial, they all wanted to face east. We pitched it to like Macy's and Kent's and all these different places, and everybody wanted to face it to the east. And so that's the main thing right now is like we would like to configure it, just kind of flip that triangle or that rectangle and have it go the other way. And then you start looking at, all right, how does that lay out? Because you put it on a general plan map, but that also doesn't take into consideration. We have to match up roads, the trailside drive, all these other things. And so that's kind of why it ended up the way we needed it to, is the size, is trying to get the roadways, open space, and all those other things to work. The other comment that I wanted to make on the townhome versus the single family is, we have looked at on our portion a single family option. But to get the highest and best use out and make sure the commercial is going to be set aside, you have to be able to drive some of that with higher density. And I agree that, everybody's worried about how much, traffic and all the people that are coming and all this other stuff. There's certainly different places in the community, and the community that I live in as well, that density is appropriate, and it is right next to your interchanges, as close as you can. If you have less impact on the roads. So if you are going to have something like this, it is going to be nice close to there. And I've talked to this when we first started talking about this. I just don't like single family up against the freeway either. Every time I drive down to Nephi, I don't know if you guys ever look at that, those nice big houses, and they're just right up against the freeway. I think there's something to say that you have some buffer there with some higher density, and that's kind of what we've gone to as well with this particular plan. So I appreciate your guys' time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can more discussion or take a motion.
I have no more comments.
Okay. Anyone else? Take a motion then. And this is a recommendation to City Council on the general plan map amendment.
So we're just doing the commercial.
Just the change in commercial is all we're talking about tonight. Yeah.
I can make a motion.
Okay,
Mr.
please.
Chair, I move that we recommend to the City Council to approve the change in the general plan map to show the reduced commercial.
Thank you. A motion. A second.
Seconded.
Second by Commissioner King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any-
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is public hearing for a site plan for a proposed office warehouse. And I communicate to some of the commission, I do need to duck out about 7:10 or 7:15 to make it to my daughter's final choir concert. So at that point, I'll turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Hunter, and he can run the remainder of the meeting. So we'll go to public hearing. This is for a site plan. So Noah or Royce, whichever's got this one.
Yep, I have this one. All right. So this is for, I guess there's a couple of things with this one that are, well, not, well, things to determine. So for those of you that were able to read the report, some things have changed since then. As of today, I have received plans that address all of the comments except for the aesthetics. So I guess the exterior materials of the building are required to be 10% of some brick, rock, stone type of material. And it's all just metal right now. So, and then also there is, we did have a meeting for a variance request with the applicant this afternoon, and they're just requesting a variance from the 30-foot front yard setback. So I'll go down to the property. So with the way the property is set up currently, they are going to be developing a lot of the property around as access and parking and storage. But this property is also owned by Pacific Corp. So this property here, they were able to purchase from Pacific Corp, to my understanding. So they do own this red area, but outside of that, they are in a lease and access agreement with Pacific Corp. So in a normal situation, the property would be extending out into this area as they are developing this area. But because they don't, given the shape and everything of the property, the building pad is severely restricted. So a 30-foot setback would bring them back to about here. And with the building that they've proposed, it would push them at least 15 feet over the property line on either side. So restricting it down, keeping space in the back basically makes it so they can build that's just a tiny little building back there. So they've requested this variance. We don't have approval on the variance. So in terms of that particular issue, if you did decide on approval, I would recommend a conditional approval, conditional on the variance being granted. But it's hard to say, of course, I don't grant the variances, but in terms of variance code, this property seemed to make a lot of sense. But
we also have the option to table it.
We also have the option to table it. That is true. So yeah, so I guess that brings up the other issue. So there is the issue that we, again, I have a lot of comments here in my review. As of Friday, I've updated my review now, but it's obviously not included in the packet that we sent out last week. So they still have the unmet comment of the exterior materials. But everything else has been addressed: access, the pedestrian access, landscaping, all of those things. So the applicant, as I mentioned in the staff review here, asserts that the building is not visible from the street. And so therefore we have this section here that basically says all of the aesthetic requirements and landscaping and pedestrian access and everything is going to be underneath this section. So essentially dependent on this. So yeah, if the commission feels that this is not visible from the right of way, then none of that stuff would apply anyway. And the only thing that we're worried about at that point is the variance. So from a staff perspective, I have argued that it is visible from the right of way. The wainscot that he's proposed of the stone on the bottom that would meet the code, that wouldn't really be visible. It would be behind a fence and also several hundred feet back from the road. So again, of course, I'm not the land use authority, so I don't decide on that. I do interpret the code. But if the commission decides that, yeah, this is, let's see, I'll show you again. So Bluff Ridge Drive, I'm going to pull up Google Earth because it's a better example. Bluff Ridge Drive is about 370 feet to the west, and then Antelope is about 300-ish, 270. So here's the property. So you can, if you stand here on the sidewalk, you can look across and see the property. And if you're up here, you can kind of look over and the building would go over the top of the fence that is here. So that's been my interpretation of the code. It is technically visible. So we've taken them through the process. Again, if you as the commission feel that those view sheds are not necessarily adequate to meet the intention of the code, then it would be up to you. And you could say, yeah, those aesthetic requirements are not needing to be met. So
that's essentially behind Craythorne, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'll show you from street view, give you a better view. again, like I said, though, regardless of whether or not this particular element applies, the variance, the setback, that would apply. That's a different section of the code. So the property, if I zoom in, so that it would be, the building would be right here. So you could see it, but it is pretty far set back. And then I'll go back over to Bluff Ridge, that section of the road. So if you're here, you can look down this alley. And this building is completed, but the building massing would still be there. The building would be right about there. So the intent of that, I mean, I don't know. I didn't write it. It predates my time at the city. So I can't really say for sure. But again, I just look at the literal sort of, this is my element of reviewing these things is being very literalist. And I say, yeah, you can see it from the road. But if you feel like it meets the intent of that it's not, visible according to what you would like, then we're not going to worry about the aesthetics. So, that's really all I have. Like I said, those are the two issues, the aesthetics and the variance. The variance is forthcoming. If you decide that it doesn't need to worry about the aesthetics, then a conditional approval would be the best they could do. And also you could also table and wait until the variance is approved, but that would be up to the commission.
Okay, thank you. This is scheduled for public hearing tonight, so we'll go ahead and open public hearing. And close public hearing. Okay, back to the commission for a motion and or more discussion. I know I'd prefer to probably table it myself because until we see the results of the variance.
I agree with that.
I think if they're submitting plans the day of the planning commission meeting, we're a little too early.
Yeah. Do we want to the applicant come talk to us, or
I'm good with tabling.
Okay.
Does the applicant want to come to?
Yep.
Well, I'm leaving. If we want to have the applicant come talk to, we can, or we can table it, whatever we'd like to do. Okay, if the applicant wants to come up and. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Mark Thane, 704 North, 3500 West in West Point. Yeah, basically just a comment. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Royce promised me I would have a chance. So I was like, wait a minute, don't vote yet. And I'm okay if you table it. However, the hearing today on the variance, he said he would have the results of that within the week. And my understanding is your next meeting is canceled June 2nd.
Yeah. So
I would only ask that you not put me off a complete month. If you that creates quite a challenge, but if that's your decision, I'll live with it. Two other comments really quick. We do have the development rights to the corridor. So we have an easement agreement in perpetuity. The power company just couldn't sell us the land under the power line. If they could have, they would have. And so the 30-foot setback, I guess that'll be decided on. But it's not like, it's just very unique because the property, we couldn't own it. And so the other thing on the aesthetics, if that was the only thing holding us up today, I don't know that we're opposed to putting some brick or rock around the wainscot around the bottom of the building. You have renderings in your packet that are shown. My only thought is this building is set so far back off the street. And if you interpret the code the way the city is interpreting that, if it's visible from a right of way, I can get some binoculars and I can see something 10 miles away. Technically, it's visible. But practically, you would have to drive down Bluffview, and if you're driving, you would have to do that. And you saw what the alley looked like. It is so far up there, it's more than 300 feet. It's, well, it's not quite a quarter mile, but if you blink, you'll miss it. And on the Antelope side, you're driving down Antelope, you're looking at Craythorne and Vault Storage and Pizza Factory, and you got to look beyond that into the next space. And so, but irregardless, that bottom area that we've got a different color of metal. Again, if the decision is we got to put rock there, we'll put rock there, but nobody can see it. There's a fence out. There's a fence out that'll be closed 90% of the time to the west, and you just can't see the rock. So it's cost that really doesn't meet the intent of the ordinance, which is if you can see it from the road, make it pretty, but you won't ever see that rock. So anyway, I appreciate your time, and I'll just wait for your decision. So unless you have questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think it changes my opinion on tabling it, unfortunately, and I can understand and respect the not wanting to wait a month, but without knowing the variance,
It's good to have all.
We can
before you make a decision.
yeah. And to the point of the aesthetics of the building, I agree with the applicant's point. You're kind of looking through a lot of construction area, a lot of everything else to see it. My wife works with AYSO on the board. We have a storage unit in those storage units right there in that area. It's you're not going to be looking back there,
right?
So I don't necessarily think that the spirit of the code of the ordinance for that is meant for something like this. I think it's offset enough that we can bypass that, but I still think we need to table it because of the variance.
We would be able to put that as a condition though, right? So we could prove with the condition that the variance is received.
Yeah, I mean, you could say if the variance is not granted, it has to come back to planning commission. You can craft the condition however you'd like.
Okay, we
Yeah,
take a motion.
I think that I would move towards a conditional approval. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not here in the business of making people life hard for people for no reason.
Okay, I move that the planning commission approve the request by Mark Lang. Conditional on the approval of the variance for an industrial site plan for an office warehouse building on the property of 1785 Bluffbridge Drive in Athens.
And could we include some element of, again, the aesthetics stuff, whether or not it's visible from the street?
All that something saying the planning commission feels this is not visible enough from the street to have that apply. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Do you want us to amend your motion, add something?
So what do we need to add?
Just add that.
That was a little confusing.
Add that
we
it's
don't need to have.
since we just feel it's not visible enough from the street, so the aesthetics requirement does not apply to this building.
And the aesthetics would be the two-tone, but we do have two-tone metal, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, at this point, I do need to leave, so I will turn the rest of the meeting over to Vice Chair Hunter to run the meeting. So thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, thank you. So the next item on the list is a public hearing for a conditional use permit for Edgewater Cove Preschool. Who's got this one?
Okay. The applicant is requesting a major conditional use permit for a preschool that will have 5 sessions per week with a maximum of 8 students. And I believe the applicant is here. And she can answer the questions that you have.
Okay, we'll get to that. This item is scheduled for public hearing, so we will open public hearing for comments. Anyone online?
I'm not seeing anyone online.
Okay, we'll close public hearing. Yeah, if you could just come for, just give us more detail on what you have in mind.
You what? Sorry.
What do you have in mind?
Okay, so essentially just an in-home preschool. I comply with all of the state regulations as far as how many students I can have with just me there. Just past fire inspection, all of those things. From my understanding, it's mainly the traffic in the neighborhood that's the concern. Most of my students live like in my direct neighborhood, so I really don't see that being an issue. And many of my neighbors, them being clients of mine, essentially are in support of this. So I don't see it being an issue in our neighborhood or any complaints. And I think there's a lot of need in our community for preschools as young families move in. So
What age? What age?
just 3 to some might be 5 if they're not in kindergarten yet, but a 3s class and a 4s class essentially.
And you're in that, as according to that, you're in that end unit right there.
So I am the 4th unit in from Bluff Road essentially.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, there's no other cars parked there during the day.
No, not typically. And all of that space, I mean, you can see it on the map, is just open land. So even if cars are waiting for a little bit in that cul-de-sac, they're not blocking people's houses. They're not in the way. And it should be a quick get in, get out.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
Discussion, or I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Unless there's any questions.
Nope.
Okay, so I move to approve the major conditional use permit for Edgewater Cove Preschool located at 3092 South Edgewater Cove, the PRD zone, subject to all applicable requirements of the city's municipal codes. And
Do you have a second?
Seconded.
All opposed, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, adjourn.
So moved.
Move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right, thank you. We'll move to work session. All right.
I do actually have to step out because I have to go pick up my kid.
All right.
She's not here.
We will excuse Commissioner
I think we're
King.
good with quorum business, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
We would still.
So excuse Commissioner King. City Council report.
I've got just a few items for the few of you that are left. Keep dropping off. So a couple updates from our last voting meeting, our last business session from City Council. Let's see. There was the 2250 West Antelope Drive that was requesting to go to be rezoned for general commercial, kind of across from Walmart. We decided to table that with the intent to possibly discuss a development agreement, because the developer had included a very rough outline of what they intended to do that, but we didn't feel comfortable rezoning without having, excuse me, without having something specifically tied to that. So that's been tabled, so we can potentially work something out with the developer there, or to continue those discussions. Let's see.
We'll see that again.
Yeah, I think so. And then there was just the small parcel, 2419 West, 2700 South, going from an R1 to R3. You recommended approval of that. I think it was somebody subdividing their lot to build another house or something. We approved that as well. And then your recommendation to amend the Syracuse City Code pertaining to home occupations for daycare regulations. We approved your recommendations on that as well. And then, I can't remember if this came before you guys, but, before the planning commission, but we did authorize, the execution of an interlocal agreement for third-party building inspections between the cities. Did that come before you guys? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we approved that as well to comply with the, state's requirement, but that's all I have.
I'm sure Shane will be happy with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any update from the city attorney?
Thank you, no.
All right. Upcoming agenda items.
All right, we do have a few things coming up. Let's see. So, hoping to talk about the street tree change here, the city code change. Went up on the 18th, the bylaws update for a vote on that, or voting for less than 4 people with the planning commission. And then we have let's see, for the rezone that was done on the corner of 2400 West and 2700 South. The applicant wants to have their subdivision plat amendment reviewed to split that lot. We have a convenience store application for 3,000 and Antelope it's just a gas station convenience store. So provided we get everything lined up before that meeting, we'll be looking at that one. Same with an industrial site plan for the Pacific Steel Building, which is kind of at the western end of that loop road going through the business park by 1000 and 193. They're just looking to basically double the size of the building, more or less. And then there's the Banbury Townhomes. We've talked about this one a few times over the years, but this is the corner of Banbury Drive and Antelope, both the east and west side of Banbury. And that's a townhome development. Looking at a preliminary plat for that one. We have a couple of things that are sort of swirling around, but those are the immediate ones.
Is the earthworks site that ever come back?
Yeah, I talked with them today. They do want to be on the 18th, so that's what we're shooting for. But given the changes they need to make, we'll see, basically. But I did tell them they've got a deadline, and hopefully we'll see that one and get that knocked out at that meeting as well.
Okay. Good, thank you. Do we have any commissioner reports? Mr. Noah.
Sorry, I'm not a commissioner, but I think we may have fixed the audio problem. So I was wondering if Commissioner Johnson is still on. Can he try speaking now? See if we can hear him.
I'm still on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, never mind. Not fixed. Okay, proceed.
All right. Next item, adjourn. Any motion?
Motion.
We have moved to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
It's only 4 of us left, so if one of us goes sticking out.
So Eric is my brother.